Now back to the real life, back to work, back to the struggle. You know what I wonder? I know some people that say they don't celebrate Christmas. And if you call them or text them and say Merry Christmas, they preach to you. They don't celebrate Christmas because this, and whatnot. No, I want to know if somebody was to call them and say, look, I have $1,000 to give you on this Christmas day. Would you take it? Or you would say, I don't celebrate Christmas. Save it for another day. Anyway, I was sitting down today and I'm thinking about my childhood back in the homeland, Jamaica, of when I was a kid. You know, everybody you thought was friend. Even when you get older, you think everybody's a friend. You know, everybody you see, everybody that talk to you is a friend. Only to find out years later that all these people that you grew up with, that you thought were your friends, you don't even know if they're still alive or where they're at. You haven't heard from them or seen them in many, many years. I went to school. I used to live up in a place called Washington Gardens. And as a kid, I had to go to church every Sunday and sometimes one day during the week. And in Jamaica, church, was an all-day event. You go to church like 9 o'clock for Sunday school, and you sit there for 2 hours in Sunday school, then you go to the service. The service didn't have a ending time, but it had a starting time. And they would preach and preach and preach. 1 o'clock come and you wonder what time church is going to be over. 2 o'clock come, you're either starving because the church didn't even have ice water. And you sit there and then preach. And next thing you know, you fall asleep. And the pastor call your name, mad at you. And and they preach. And even the preacher sometimes, I don't think he know what he was talking about, and he repeat himself. And they would preach and say, all men created equal. Everybody have the same potential. Everybody has a talent. Everybody, at that time in my life, I was a little boy. I was maybe 2 years younger than Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was the biggest thing. And I would sit in church and the pastor said, just pray and ask for what you want. And I would pray to be like Michael Jackson. I would pray to be somebody famous. I would pray to get a good job. I would pray to get straight A's. I would pray. Anyway, none of them things happened. The church was right next to Rastaman, on a place, I think it used to be called Harwood Drive in Washington Gardens. The church was a church. What was the name of the church again? Some United Church on Harwood Drive in Washington Gardens. Anybody come from that area would know. And there was a Rastaman that lived right next to the church. And this Rastaman was upset that they come and build a church next to his place. And his way to retaliate was to create a disturbance in the neighborhood at the church. And he would beat a drum pan, boom, 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 all day Sunday, from before church start till when church over. And he would shout out, fireball and thunder. And he would beat the drum. The man sit right at that fence for years until he got old. And I used to sit there and say, how comes God not stop this man from disturbing the peace and disturbing the church? And the church built a fence, a big old high fence, look like a prison wall fence. And the rest of man wait till Sunday. He take a pickaxe and bust down that fence all by himself. And he carried on and police couldn't do anything to him, nobody could do anything to him. Anyway, when the man get a little older now, you think he's going to fade off into the night and get another Rastaman. I think it was paying this other Rastaman to come beat the drum with him. And they beat the drum for many, many years. And I always wondered, how comes God didn't stop this man from disturbing the church? But I couldn't say to the pastor, hey pastor, Why don't you pray for this man stop beat down the fence? But it went on for many, many years. Even when I left Jamaica, he was still beating the drum. I went back there one time and he was still beating the drum. I'm sure by now you're talking like almost 45, 50 years later. I'm sure he must have passed on by now. But that was very interesting to me. And they make me look back and say, Jamaica, the thing them that we do in Jamaica, some people do. And I see people say, oh, Jamaica is beautiful, Jamaica is this, Jamaica is this. I don't get it. I mean, I want somebody to tell me what was so great. There's so many experiences I had growing up in Jamaica that I look back sometimes and I say, somebody we know, we remember them right away, but over time they come to your mind. And I'll share a little more, and I want to hear from people that has had the same kind of experience. If you knew that church in Washington Gardens with Rastaman, you know what happened to him, write a little note and let me know. I would be curious to know what happened to that church if it's still going. Anyway, I saw. I'm